Good morning. Hello. Just want to, before we get started, just want to test. Is sound better? No windy fans. Hi Diana, how you doing? Sound and video quality, is that a little bit better? Hey YJ, how you doing? Good morning. Hey Nick, how are you? I'm sounding terrible, by the way, so in case you guys were wondering, yeah, a little bit nasally. Hey BL, sound is okay. Good. Think I figured it out. Couple of filters on, so that might help. No, it's not that bad. It's just a little bit under the weather, but all good. Still making good trades. Yesterday's trading helped with feeling better. So let's hope today's trades help me feel a lot better as well. Hey K Goosey, how you doing? A couple of minutes before we get started. Got my vitamin C here. Good morning, Mel Alpha, me Alpha. Good to see. I actually do notice a couple of new names, new nicknames here. So good to see you guys. Thanks for finding us. Welcome. Hey, Jammings. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? I keep saying good morning to all of you guys, but it's really, halfway, halfway through my day. So it's good afternoon from me, but good morning to all of you. Kiwi dollar 5 minutes 24 pips. Very nice. Thank you, Diana. Here you go. See, this is just right by my desk. So every day, one or two. Hey, I am Dana. Good to see you. Good evening, Kigusi. It's the evening there. I am in Singapore. I'm in Singapore right now. So every time I refer to any timing, it's always GMT +8. Yeah, but there are plans. There are plans to be able to get to say good morning to all of you in the same time zone. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let me know if you're new to the session. If you're new to the session, let me know where you're joining me from. What I hope to do at some point in time is to be able to do live sessions together with you guys. Well, live in-person sessions together with you guys. So I'm really keen to know where everyone is, just so that we can find somewhere. Hopefully, we can all gather together, sit and trade together, analyze markets and trade together, learn and share with you a bit more as well. I do know that we've got a bunch of people in Australia, a good number in the Dubai region, couple in, I know Spiros is in Greece. I know a couple of people all around the place. So do let me know where you're joining us from. All right. Hey Jijo. Waiting for NAS 100 updates. Okay, we'll get to that. A quick request. We'll get to that. Alrighty, so let's get started. Again, big thank you. Fully appreciate all of you taking your time out to join me on this daily market analysis. 3 p.m. GMT +8 every day, Monday to Friday, where we get through the fundamentals, looking at what has happened, what is coming up in terms of the news. With that, looking at the technicals, where price is at the moment, where it could head towards, combining fundamentals and technicals together, looking for some possible trade setups. All right, so again, if you're new to the session, please feel free to put it into the chat, say hi. All right, let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're joining from. And for all the regulars, I'm sure they'll make you feel very welcomed. Any new member that joins us. At any point in time, if you have a trading related question, or like Jijo is asking for the NAS 100, if you have any particular pairs or instruments you'd like me to share my view on, do put it into the chat. I'll be happy to take that on board. If it's not something that I trade regularly, then I'll share with you what I think, but you should also consider your own analysis as well. Okay, and if you haven't already, the link is there. Do join us on our Discord channel. That's there. We use that to take our discussions beyond this live stream, beyond this 1 hour session, so that we can share our trade ideas, where I'm getting into a trade, where I'm getting off a trade. I do tend to share my ideas there as well. So look forward to see you guys there. It is free and absolutely free to join and to stay in. All I ask is for your contributions within the community. Contributions in terms of sharing your trade ideas, holding discussions. It's a very safe space, right? Everyone starts from somewhere. So we have newbies, we have fully experienced, we have very experienced as well. So everyone's there. To come in and trade together, right? As much as we can. Hey, Alex from Denmark. Good to see you. Hey, Stefan. Good to see you. Good morning. Hey, hi, Hyder. Good to see you too. So with that, let's keep going. Oh, before I keep going, if you can, do help me out. Click that little rocket ship button on TradingView and also the thumbs up button on YouTube if you can, just so that we can get this session, somehow the algorithm works and it works the way it is, so that we can get more people onto this session as well. All right. Then, quick disclaimer: any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. So please do your own due diligence. The contents of this webinar is not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product. I do know that there are many traders within us on this stream and within the community that does counter trend trades or shorter term trades, scalping trades, swing trades, longer term trades, right? So whatever method you're trading on, whatever I'm sharing with you, it's really my point of view. I think what a lot of members have found that's really useful is where you use the analysis that I share with you here, try and pair it up with your own analysis. If it aligns, then you get a little bit more confidence, you get an understanding of where the market is possibly heading towards, then you might trade a little bit more with a little bit more conviction as well. Okay. Also remember that your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay, manage risk. As much as we talk about trade setups and news and where price could head towards, it's not so much. Oh, it is important. Trade entry is important, but it's more importantly is managing risk, right? Managing risk comes in many aspects. It's not just your stop loss levels, it's what kind of trade size you're getting into, when you're getting into a trade, whether it's before news, during a news, or as the price moves, and also your trade size, right? Your trade sizing. That's where psychology comes in. Sometimes you might have a good trade setup, you might have a reasonable stop loss, you might have a good take profit, but if you're trading too big, right? If the lot size is too big, and then you end up taking a little bit or feeling very uncomfortable with the trade, that's where you might, if the trade goes against you a little bit, you might close out early, and then after that see it run to where you have planned or expected it to go. So sometimes over trading, or not over trading, oversizing leads to that psychology or the emotion of feeling very eager to close off a trade. That's also why I'm sharing this with you. It's really because I've seen some of the discussions on our in our community where we're closing out. Sometimes we're closing out trades a little bit too quickly. Something to consider is sizing down a little bit, right? Sizing down a little bit, just so that you know that in a worst case scenario, if it does hit your stop loss, it's not a big hit. It's not a big hit. Then you might feel a little bit more comfortable to hold on to a trade, to let it run, to see what happens with the trade. Okay? Uh, Sorry about that. I didn't know where you're located. No worries, Cummings. Good to have you. Hey, in your case, how are you doing? So with that, let's keep going on. So again, first things I always do when I jump onto or when I start the trading day is I look into the news, right? Forex Tracker is the first window that I have opened before, right? Once when I start my computer up, it's always the first thing I have open, just to first check what has happened across the price movements up there, and then after that checking the news. So the last time we spoke was 3 p.m. yesterday. Since then we've had a whole bunch of news, but they were not super big price movers, right? Not super big price movers. Yesterday was a little bit more focused on the UK because we did have the UK CPI year on year being released was 10.1, expected 8.2, came out 8.7. With that, we actually saw that the likelihood or the anticipation that the Bank of England was going to slow down on further rate increases was going to be a little bit higher. So we anticipated that the pound dollar was going to trade lower. Following on from that, we had Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking, and this was at the Net Zero Delivery Summit. You can see no related stories, I don't think, and I was highlighting to you guys, I didn't think it was going to be a big price mover. On to the Governor Bailey speaking again at the Inflation and Economy Talk title. And that point it says about a third of rate increases have hit the economy now, right? Projections show that government will meet inflation target this year. So they are at 8.7. The target is 2 to 3%. Quite interesting that they think that they're going to hit the target within this year. Right, just having a look at that. We're not speculating on where April inflation data leaves us in terms of forecast. A lot of UK inflation from imported shocks. Numbers show a welcome for below double digits. Yeah, it's finally broken at that 10% level. Don't think spiral is the right word to use when asked about core inflation and wages. So a little bit conservative in terms of talking about inflation, in terms of expecting inflation to drop, but it also shows that they're watching out and possibly going to implement that pause on further rate hikes. All right. With that, that was yesterday. Then early this morning, 2 a.m. GMT +8, we did have the US FOMC meeting minutes. I was telling you guys, I was hoping, fingers crossed, that we would see during the meeting minutes some talk about a pause in rate hikes. But what we actually had in the meeting minutes, just looking at the headliners, was that it was a split, right? Split on support for more hikes. That's one of a good point, but they also said that there was upside risk for inflation outlook. Inflation was unacceptably high and are declining slower than they had expected. Okay, so all that, those two main headliners, right, and focus on need to retain optionality after May meeting led to what we saw on the dollar index, where this was at 2 a.m. Right, a brief drop, but then a continuation to the upside, right? Continuation to the upside, pushing higher, because they're not talking or they haven't really indicated any pause or any possible pause on further rate hikes, although we kind of expect that to come around. Okay, with that, then on to later today, 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 8, we do have the US preliminary GDP quarter on quarter to be released. It was 1.1%. They are expecting 1.1% again. With the way it had been moving, this was a different quarter. This was 2.9, 2.9 came out 2.7. November, matching that quarter, 2.6, 2.8, 2.9. I think we might see a little bit of a positive number here in terms of preliminary GDP for the US. And because of that, I think that we might see that dollar strength continue on, right? Continue on, which it's already doing right now. Yesterday, when we spoke about this, we said dollar strength pushing to the 104 resistance level. Did well and truly that it did come up to that 104 resistance. Was sharing in the, please zoom. Jijo, what do you mean? Okay, let's see that. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I was sharing in the community that I was expecting the dollar index to blast through this 104 level to the upside, and it's showing that right now. Okay, Jijo, let me know if you can't see it clearly, and unfortunately I do have to zoom out a little bit just to get a bigger view of what's happening. I will zoom in and out just to help you guys with the visuals. Okay, so I lost my train of thought. This is 25th of May. We are still possibly expecting. So I like how it's bounced right off that trend line to the upside. Now that it's trading above 104, currently at 104.15, anticipating that upward trend to continue. I don't see why it would retrace strongly. So just dragging this right across. Right, I don't see why it would retrace strongly. Good morning, Jamil. How are you doing? So I do think that we might see further upside. Looking at it on H4 time frame, the next big resistance is at 104.83. Right, 104.83. Let me check something. Way broken above all that. Okay, so back at H1 time frame, I think that what could happen, as much as I don't think it will retrace very strongly, I think what it'll do is it'll fluctuate within this area for a while before breaking up. And I would say 104.50, I know it is right in the middle there, as a possible first level, right? Just because it's the midpoint of the round number levels, I think 104.50 would be a reasonable first target level. Mainly because now we're looking at what could happen from now through to tomorrow. Yeah, I like this move. So continue strength, pushing to 104.50 interim resistance, or 104.50. Let's just that. Okay. There we go. So I'm still looking for upside on the dollar index. I'm looking for this to push up towards 104.50. That's going to paint the bias right across the board for all the other currency pairs, all the other possible setups. With your permission, I would like to digress a little bit. I was working on a bit of a video for you guys in terms of explaining the debt crisis, the debt ceiling crisis we're facing now in the US. Due date is on the 1st of June. So what I was looking at, just digressing a little bit. Let me see how to do this better. So just digressing a little bit in terms, but there's more details coming out once I've got that video. Once I've got the materials and the video sorted, I'll share with you more. But that's something interesting because I know in particular BL and a couple of guys have been asking about, how's the debt ceiling, how is it going to affect currencies, how is it going to affect everything. That's close to 78.6, yes, possibly. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. So this daily, so digression for a while. Okay, the last time we had a major, the most recent, not most recent, one of the major debt crisis, where the US came to 72 hours to defaulting, right, was in July of 2011, right, when Obama was president. He needed to, or they needed to raise the debt ceiling. They only agreed to raise it, I think, in August. So they were 72 hours from a default. And what you notice here is that the dollar index during that time of uncertainty didn't really spike up or down it did move, but not very significantly. This is on a daily time frame, right? July, when the highest point was 76.73. The body was about 76. It dropped as low as 73.50, right, before consolidating in that range. So it does have some impact on the dollar index, but you see that on the daily time frame, it's really not forming any further clear directional push, right? It was coming down, it just set in that range, relatively wide range, before scaling back up once the deal was done. So, just in case you guys were wondering about the debt ceiling and how it could affect currencies in terms of the dollar index, not super a lot, right? Yeah, and that was also downgraded from AAA to AA plus in August after the deal was done. So that's why you see that for the 6th of August, like BL was saying, right? It's still set within that range despite the downgrading from the S&P. But alternatively, or different view is that although it didn't have too much impact, some impact, but not a big directional change on the dollar index, what we actually saw on the S&P, or the SPX, on the, what was it? There we go. During that similar period, right? During that similar period, we actually saw the S&P drop from 1344 or 1360 down to the 1100 level, right down to the 1100 level. The big drop on the indices or on the index, but not a significant change on the dollar index, right? So if you were looking in terms of looking for a big change, I think the focus will be on the indices rather than expecting that big fluctuation on currencies. Just highlighting this to you guys as a in terms of currencies, I think that it might still be somewhat business as usual, but we will see some very choppy price action. This would have been a big drop and a great buying opportunity because you know that after that big drop, it just continued scaling straight to the upside. Okay, so if you guys are holding positions on the indices, right, just be extra careful, right? If you're holding any positions, just be extra careful. You could be seeing almost a 20%. This was one of the highlight events in terms of a debt ceiling. Prices saw almost an 18% drop, and this was since sorry, I'm sniffing a lot. This was between 25th of July to the 8th of August. So not a very long time, but a very big drop, almost 18%. So if you are holding positions, just be careful with that. Looking at a similar move at this point, a 18, oops, an 18% drop would bring it way down. Currently at 41.15, an 18% drop could see it come down to 33.79 or 33.80, which would be a big new low, right? The last time we came to this point was 32.46 was back in October 2020, right? It was back in October 2020. So just wanted to highlight that to you guys. Indices, if you're holding, just be extra careful. Okay. So digression done. Back to the currencies. It is still fluctuating within this range on the dollar index. Could look to or looking for it to push up towards the 104.50 level. Nick was saying that on the H4 time frame, it was about that 78.6 level. Right, so if you just drag that right across, you'll notice that just slightly above that 78.6 level. So could climb up to that point, test, and then we'll see that retrace and then bounce around that range. Okay, so that's the dollar index, looking for further upside. With that said, looking at the dollar index for the upside potential, then onto the Kiwi. Yesterday, we were looking for this to trade down, right, because of the news of the RBNZ hiking rates, but it was a dovish hike. We saw this push all the way down. It tested this support level at 61 or 0.61, bounced around a little bit. Looked like it was going to have further downside potential, but I think that it's possibly going to sit around this level for a while before continuing on. So I think that this view is still valid. Right, I think that this view is still valid. And let's take this away. I hate it when there's too many lines all around. Okay. However, I think that what we could see is a little bit of a retrace. Not a retrace, more like a brief push up and then a continuation to the downside. Okay, so on the Kiwi dollar, just a bit of an update in terms of yesterday's level. You could be looking to, if you really want to play it safe, you could be looking to sell down from 0.6075. Right, that would be reasonable. You'll be a 40 pip stop loss. You'll be about a 50 pip take profit down to 6022, which we saw was reached in was at 50% level. Okay, but I think with the way price is moving, you could even be looking to sell down from about, especially if this candle closes a bit red, below 0.6090. As long as the price stays, could bounce out a little bit. 0.6090, you could be looking to sell down. stop loss about 30 pips, take profit about 60 pips to the downside. Okay, so that's what I'm sitting there. I haven't got a trade on the Kiwi dollar. I'm looking for that to show some clear direction, looking for retrace before pushing down. So 6090, 30 pip stop loss, 60 pip take profit. 6090, 30 pip stop loss, 60 pip profit. Okay. No worries. Thanks for that, Val. With that, I'm more motivated. I've been struggling to write that and do that video for this week actually. So I hope to get it out today or tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, so that's the Kiwi dollar, looking for a bit of a retrace. If it doesn't retrace, I could even be looking to sell down from roughly about this point, taking on a little bit of risk, but that's reasonable. Aussie dollar, right? If you did get into this trade from 6560, then you'll be well in the money, right? I did have a trade on the Aussie. I did close out, I think, along that consolidation last night at about 653. I think I had another trade to the downside. I was trading quite a bit yesterday on the Aussie dollar. If you guys did any of the trades that we talked about, do put it into the chat. Share with me, let me know. Now that the Aussie seems to be slowing down in terms of that downward push, very similar to the Kiwi, I do think that we might see a bit of a retrace. And you can see that it's struggling a little bit more than the Kiwi dollar, with 0.65 well within reach. Okay, so I would say that you could, you know what, you could get to 6.5, but I don't think it's going to be, it's about 20 pips to the downside. It's not worth doing that. A little bit of a, now this has turned into a resistance. So a little bit of a different view, right? A little bit of a different view, I would say, on the Aussie would be that we could be looking for this to bounce up a little bit more, right? So I would say Kiwi has possibly quite a quick trade to the downside. The Aussie could rebound. Aussie could rebound up to 6.555, just below that resistance. So I think that we could be looking at this on the Aussie. Rebound up to sell down again, right? Anticipating the dollar strength. So what you could be looking for here, right? And this might not be a trade that will play out, might not retrace enough for us to get into this trade, but you know, something as a possible move. 6.555, stop loss about 20 pips, take profit at about 50 pips to the downside. Just wait for that retrace. If it doesn't retrace and it just goes straight down, I would say happy to watch it go down. I'm not going to enter a trade to the downside. I'll be looking for a reaction along that 0.65 level. Well done, Ola. Good job. So Ola closed. Ayakami did a trade on the Kiwi. Ola did a trade on the Aussie dollar. Very nice. M Leader did Kiwi and Pound Yen. Pound Yen gave him 90 pips. Very good. Okay, so that's the Aussie dollar idea. So 6.555, 20 pip stop loss, 50 pip take profit. 6.555, 20 pips stop loss, 60 pip take profit. I think this might have a bit of a lower chance because we are expecting it to retrace quite a bit. I think this could be quite quick. Okay, so just ranking my trade setups or prioritizing my trade setups. Look at that, Kiwi dollar. Close of the hour, you might be looking to sell down already, right? You might be looking to sell down already on the close of the hour. Okay. Then the US yen, right? US yen, I was sharing with you guys early this morning, came into the office. So this was a trade I had as well. I got in, right? And then it ran up and it just went, okay, fine, let it run. Let's see where it's going to get to my take profit. Came in this morning. I did not expect this big drop. 6 a.m. this morning, it went from 139.36 down almost to my stop loss at 138.80, rebounded. Don't know what happened there. I was looking at the news, couldn't see any reasons. It rebounded. I closed out at about 139.55, if I'm not wrong. And then it just fluctuated within that range. I did think that it would get up to 140, right? I thought that it would get up to 140. It so far hasn't. In fact, it's trading down right now. So I hope you guys got into the US yen. I do like trading the yen, so that's one of my favorite pairs to jump into, especially on the breakouts. In your case, did Kiwi dollar, very nice. So now on the US yen, with that retrace at that 23.6 level, I think that it's a bit odd to see the yen retrace that much. It's a bit odd to see the yen retrace that much, but you know, I would attribute it towards it being very close to that 140 level. Looking at the way it's moving, I think that it would definitely break below 23.6. I would say I would like to see, I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I would like to see the yen come down, test this level, and bounce back up again. Right? Then it would give me almost a repeat of what I did yesterday. So once we break this level, come down, test about that 50, into this, test about that 50 to 61.8 level, and then bounce back up. Then I would be, if it does that, then I'll be looking to get in 139 again, back up. This time I would say that you could go for 140. I would just put my take profit at about 60 pips, 70 pips there. Stop loss 25 to 30 pips below that 139 level. So you could even do that. Not 90 pips. You could go 90 pips. With that, you could put that at 30 pips or 1:3 to the upside. Main thing right now is looking for this to retrace. If it doesn't, if it just sits around here before pushing up, then I would forego on the US yen just because I want to see what happens to the yen at this 140 region. Right? I think it could come up to 140 and have a big retrace. We already seen it break a new high and a big retrace. So I want to see a retrace, push up, test this level, and then maybe trade down again. Was kicked out. I hope, in your case, I hope you're kicked out in a profit, not kicked out in a bad way. Okay. All right. So I think that's reasonable. So 139, 30 pip stop loss, 90 pip take profit. 139. Looking for that repeat from yesterday. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. That looks like a possible, highly possible trade. And then I know this one. I know everyone. You know, the funny thing about this trade was that I got into this. I think I got into this as it was breaking down. I got out at about that point, just before the take profit. So I got in early. So it was a bit like that. It was a bit like that kind of move. I got in early on as we were saying at that 1.2395 level. I think I got in at 1.24. I was just a little bit early. But then I got out at about 30 something pips, right? Just because I was like, okay, I'm leaving the office, I'm not watching, I don't know what's going to happen. And then I got out my trade, and the next thing I knew, you guys were like pinging, going, oh, pound dollar went down to take profit, right? So very good. I know many of you did jump onto the pound dollar trade yesterday. So that worked out very nicely for us as it came down, hit that support level of 1.2350. Early this morning, I was looking at it thinking, is it going to break, have a sustained break towards the support, right? I was telling you guys that. But what we saw was that as it came down, it bounced back up, and then now it's still sitting at this support. Okay, so the wise thing to do on the pound dollar will be to look for that downside potential. Right, the wise thing to do on the pound dollar will be look for the downside potential. However, I do think that we might see it bounce. I'll take away down these lines. Right, I do think that we will see it bounce, and I think that it might not be worth trying to do anything crazy. Okay, there we go. So I'm just checking my lines. I'm looking at these levels here. I'm looking at this next swing low here. So I'm just thinking that as a very short-term Fibonacci retracement, it came up, the last time it came up, just last hour to 23.6, retrace back down. Now looking like this. What I would be looking for on the pound dollar will still be for that downside towards 1.2275. But that would mean that we're going to see big upside move on the dollar index, right? Because there is no big news events on the pound apart from CBI realized sales, which looks like it might be good news, but I don't think it's going to do too much. So I would say look for the candle to close like that, or to close below 1.2350. You could be looking to sell the pound down. I think to be safer, you'll be looking at 1.23, below 1.2340. Stop loss 30 pips, take profit 60 pips to the downside. However, I would say that just be aware of possibly an overextension. Looking at the RSI, I do think that we might see that trade down. This candle needs to close this way or lower. Possibly the next candle or 6 o'clock in 2 hours time, then we'll see this trade possibly moving lower. Okay, so 1.2340, stop loss 30, take profit 60. 1.2340, stop loss 30, take profit 60. There we go. Okay, with that, then looking at the euro dollar. Oh wait, after the pound dollar, let's look at pound yen. Right, we were looking for this to, well, yesterday when we were talking about this, we were looking for this to push down, right? And it actually did push down, hit the take profit, and then bounce right back up. I didn't get into this trade, but M Leader was saying he got into this trade. I think you even got in a little bit earlier because this was about 70 pips to the downside. Now it's rebounded back up. Okay. Now, again, looking at the way it's moving, expecting that pound dollar to drop, what you could be looking for here is it does need to break this 172 level before trading down to 171.23 again. So I think that this is again a possible move. You can see that it's in that range, a very strong support here, right? A very strong support here. If it does break this, I think that we could see that downside down to 171.23. Okay. Then onto the euro, right? We were talking about this. This is a trade that I actually did quite a bit on. We were looking at the euro thinking that, hey, could it have a funny chance that it would break to the upside? It didn't do that. Right? It didn't break above that trend line. That resistance of 1.0790 held very strongly. I did get into this trade to the downside on the euro. In fact, even this afternoon, I was trading the euro to the downside, down towards right at this 1.072 level. Okay, I actually closed out just before the start of this session. So right now, what needs to happen is that it needs to break this support. So it needs to break this support level, and if it does break below this support, then the next big major support is at 1.0529 or 1.0530. Very big move to the downside. I don't think we're going to see this within the day. Think that what you could possibly see, no, I think that's not work. That's not going to work. Could see this level here, 1.0630. Could see that. Okay, so with that, then I'll be looking. Does need to break this level. So not this hour, possibly not even the next hour. Could see that big downside. I'm a bit torn to tell you that we could see a big downside because I don't see a huge move on the dollar. So, you know, this could be a potential, but just be a bit careful on this. About 1.07 needs, okay, let's put it at below 1.07. So 1.07, 1.0695, stop loss 30 pips, take profit could be down to 65 pips, right? So I'm just taking that extra safe view that it needs to break below this round number support level. Okay, so euro dollar again continuing to expect that downside because of the dollar strength and no major news. 1.0695, 30 pip stop loss, 60 pip take profit. 1.06 sell, 1.0695 stop loss, 30 take profit, 60. Good, fair enough. Again, guys, remember, help me out, click that like, thumbs up button on YouTube, and that little rocket ship button on TradingView. I would love to see this. I think this would be a good trading opportunity. I'm just not sure why, or I can't find a reason why I think that we expect such a big move to the downside. So I'd like to see that, but I'll be more convicted to this setup if I have a fundamental driver for this. Okay, so with that, then the euro yen again trading down. I think that it is right in the middle of that resistance level of 150. So this is just nice at 150. Again, if I were looking at this, a rejection of that level would be a great place to sell. All right, a rejection of this resistance level been a good place to sell down. Right now, it is in the middle of that resistance and support level. I don't think it's worth a trade down, because if you were looking to sell down from here, your take profit will be about 50 pips. Your stop loss could be anywhere within this range, right? And I don't think it'd be worth that trade. But that said, if you are scalping, then I think that we could see that trade down towards that 148.80 support level. Or not support level, but support area. Okay, then onto the US Swiss franc, did not bounce off that support, but in fact broke above that trend line. That was still a good trade that went up to the take profit level. Yeah, Emily, I've got a cold. Don't know why. Okay, so looking at this, did go up to our take profit level. I don't usually trade the US Swiss franc, so if you did get into that trade, let me know. I think what's interesting here is that this resistance level could form quite nicely as a barrier, and we could see this trade down, right? 30 pip stop loss, 50 pip, 45 pip take profit to the downside. What I don't like right now, what I'm seeing, I've just been looking at all the other charts. What I don't like right now is that the Kiwi dollar is forming up very nicely. In the next 8 minutes, you could be looking to sell this down. The Aussie dollar is trading down, so that's working out well. The US yen is still trading down, so dollar strength, but yet we're seeing the yen trade down. I don't like that. I like how the Kiwi and the Aussie is doing, because it's aligned to that dollar strength. The US yen is going against what we're seeing on the dollar index. The pound dollar is sitting right there. It does have a little bit of a delay effect sometimes, so I do think that that's still valid. The euro dollar is forming up very nicely, so you could be looking to sell this down. Then the US Swiss franc, right? Dollar strength is being applied right across the board to everyone else. I don't see why this should drop. That's why I'm hesitating. I don't see why this should drop, which in fact it should be pushing up because of that dollar strength. So if you were looking to, as a purely technical view on the US Swiss franc alone, it looks like it should trade down. But what I would in fact say that I would be looking for will be a long 9075, 40 pip take profit, tight stop loss at about 20 pips, 1 to 2 to the upside. How do you follow up on my trading? How can I follow up on your trading? You can join the Discord channel. The link is there on TradingView. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so 9075, 20 pip stop, 40 pip take. 9075, 20 pip stop, 40 pip take. And then next up, US CAD pushed up very nicely. Again, if you did get into this trade, let me know. If you didn't get in, or if you're in this trade, if you're still holding on to this trade, as much as we expect that dollar strength to push the US CAD up, I just don't like how I'm seeing a lot of tails, retrade, all that tails and shadows right across, and that hesitation to push up. So I would say stay out of the US CAD for now. I think that although we could see it trade up to that resistance, I don't think that it will be worth taking that risk. So either, if you're in a trade, I would close that out, secure the profit. It's just moving a little bit oddly compared to how the dollar index is moving. right? Dollar index pushing up, US CAD pulling right back down. So I think that unless it does come down and bounce, then I'll be looking for a buy. But if it does trade up, then I'll just be waiting it out, not looking to do any trades there. Okay, so US CAD, I would say stay neutral. Okay, here we go. Then onto gold. Gabriel says gold is pulling back. It is pulling back, and look at that. We were saying look for reaction along 1970, could trade down to 1954. It actually at 1970 broke straight down towards 1954, right? Right down towards that 1954, 1955 level. Right now, looking like a rebound. I would say that it could. Again, this is odd. Again, this is very odd because dollar strength should be pushing it up, means that gold should be trading down. But I think that we might be seeing some flight towards safety. So the correlation might break for a while. Might see gold trade up to that 1970 level again. Right, flight towards safety because of all the uncertainty in the debt ceiling crisis. I think that it might trade up. Why? Another reason is also because I think that this support level could hold. I mean, it's been holding for the last couple of weeks. So I think it could hold. If it does break below 1954, then we'll see 1936. But the way it's moving right now, looks like we might see a retrace up towards 1970 again. Okay, could retrace to 1970. Thanks, Diana. Yeah, it's all blocked and nasally right now. Not very pleasant. So big credit to all of you who are staying tuned. With that, then looking at the SPX in that range, right? Oh wait, I think you're asking for the 100. We'll do the 500 first. In that range, I'm still looking. I think that we might see it trade down towards that 40-50 level. That 40-50 level, as it comes within this range, we might see this trade down. Okay. But like I was telling you guys on my digression, I think that if we come to the point of a massive risk to default, then we're going to possibly see big downside potential on the S&P 500. With that, then looking at the US 100, also showing that retracement from the top. I do think that you can see that it's not something I look at because I've got no lines on it at all. Needs to break below 13,444, which is testing right now, so it could come down. If it does break below this point, then a couple of levels here to pay attention to at 13,200. I think 13,200 will be a big level to get towards. Alrighty. So I'm not going to make you suffer through my nasally voice anymore. The summary sheet is there, right? If you guys have not already, please jump onto the trading community. I will be typing up there, so at least you don't have to hear the nasals. And also, we can take our discussions from there. With that said, please trade well trade safe, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now.